Welcome to Inntrospection, the podcast about moving from grief to growth. I'm Amy Lindner Lesser, your host. Inntrospection started out as a podcast about hospitality, innkeeping, and innkeepers. After about a year, I realized that my life and interests have morphed from hospitality to helping others navigate from grief and loss to growth and living. In this new version of Inntrospection, I will be talking about my personal experiences with loss, and there are quite a few, what I've learned along the way through my professional training, as well as from my coaching experiences. I'll also be bringing in guests to share interesting ideas. So grab a beverage, find a comfy place, take a deep breath, and listen in. Hi, friends. Welcome to Inntrospection. I'm Amy Lindner Lesser, your host, grief and life transition coach, fellow traveler on the messy, miraculous road from loss to growth. Thank you for carving out some time for yourself and for your own healing. Take a look at this mirror with me. It's 1999, August 10th to be exact. My husband Steve died that morning, 2 days before my 43rd birthday. A few days later, while brushing my teeth, I glanced at my reflection and honestly thought, who is that woman? She's got my blue eyes, the same stubborn, frizzy hair, yet she's utterly unrecognizable. I don't know who she is. If you've ever stared at yourself after a life quake, such as divorce, estrangement, infertility, retirement, any seismic shift, you know that blank, who am I now feeling? And hopefully by the time we've ended today, you'll have a gentle roadmap for beginning to piece yourself back together. No erasing of parts, just some glue and maybe some gold and kintsugi. I want you to imagine a snow globe as your life. You know, the kind that you can hold in your hands and when you shake it, the snow falls. A life quake is that hard shake. So you take it and go, and it fills with snow. It could be the death of a loved one, loss of a job, retirement. Job loss that you actually wanted. Empty nesting, that time that's bittersweet because your kids are finally leaving your nest and you miss them. It could be a health diagnosis for yourself or a loved one that shakes your life. Or a child cutting ties. The flakes, I'm shaking it, the flakes swirl, grief, paperwork, casseroles, condolences, all eventually settle. But weeks, even months later, someone slams the door and what happens? Aftershocks. Cue the second wave of chaos, birthdays, anniversaries, scents, songs, memories. It could happen again for the third wave, the fourth wave, or in my case, it's the 26th wave. I want to bust some myths right now. Two phrases that we've all heard way too many times. The first one is, time heals all wounds. No way. Time doesn't heal all wounds, and not all wounds are healable. Time passes, and that's all it does. Healing requires intention. And unfortunately, wounds are never fully healed. A scar forms, which is a constant, perhaps faded reminder. Sometimes, even years later, when it's bumped, it may reopen, or it may hurt. It may just remind you that it's still in control, not you. The second myth that you might hear, you just need closure. Okay, closure is for real estate deals, not human hearts. thing is it's not anyone else's place to tell you when to close your wound. There is no set timeline or roadmap. We need to remember that we're exactly where we need to be at any point in our journey. And where I am is going to be different from where you are. It's going to be different for where she is or where he is. We are all exactly where we need to be at any point in our journey. People's comments reflect their own discomfort in your grief. That's on them, not you. One of my favorite sayings is how somebody feels about you is none of your business. Unfortunately, people are so generous in sharing. You can thank them for their opinion and then move on. If you've ever felt like a stranger to yourself, tap a heart down below. I would love to see them in the comments. And if you're not catching this live, same invitation. Go ahead, look at how many of us are raising our virtual hands. Proof that you're not alone. We're never alone. Okay, so now let's dig into identity. Imagine I had a suitcase here that contains every role you've ever played: partner, parent, child, career rock star, caregiver, class clown, friend. All of those roles. Some fit perfectly, like Cinderella and the glass slipper. Others pinch, like the shoes you outgrew, or her stepsisters putting on the shoes. As we go through life, our identities change and sometimes that we outgrow them. So identity has three layers: roles, which are the hats that we wear; values, the principles that guide these hats; and essence, the unbreakable gold at our core. When we grieve, we often cling to roles while our values and essence wait patiently underneath. Think of the roles that we cling to. I'm his wife. I'm their child. I'm their mother. I was supposed to be their mom. I'd love to know which role feels the heaviest for you right now. Drop it below. Naming it loosens the grip. And that's the best thing to do, is when it no longer feels comfortable, we need to release it. Another way to release it is to write it on a piece of paper. And if you have a safe place to burn it that's not going to burn down anything else, do that. Tear it up. Flush little pieces down the toilet. You can also, if you write it in ink, put it in your sink and pour water on it. And what happens is that the water dissolves the ink. So here's a roadmap. There are 3 R's: recognize, reclaim, and redesign. When we recognize, we're aware. So that's the first step that I want you to take in starting to think about rebuilding or building your identity. So before bed, I want you to grab a journal and write, I miss. And then just let yourself go and write down all the things that you miss about things before your life quake, before your life transition happened. Don't censor it, just keep writing. The next journal prompt is I value. And these are the things that are important to you, the things that you can't live without. And then I'm curious about. Start imagining the things that you want to learn more about. what you might want to bring into your life. No censoring. This is for you alone. Nobody else is going to see it or read it. And it doesn't matter what your handwriting looks like. It doesn't matter what your spelling is. It's just to give yourself the freedom to dream. Many of us, when we're grieving, have stopped dreaming. So dreaming is important. One of my clients, I'm going to call her Sandra, wrote, "I value laughter." And then after writing that, she realized that she hadn't watched a comedy in 8 months, not since her husband passed away. She hadn't even laughed out loud. Recognizing that gap was huge. And what did she do? She decided to rent a movie that she could laugh with. And then the next week, she made plans with a friend to go see a comedy and to laugh more. Okay, step 2, reclaim. I'm going to share a personal example of reclaim. After my husband Steve died, I remember I enjoyed being in the kitchen, but only when I was prepping with him or other people. I don't, and I didn't, and I still don't enjoy cooking alone. What I did at the time was I rearranged my staffing so that the people who loved to cook and did it well worked on the food prep. They prepared Steve and my recipes our way for our guests at the inn, but they did it. I occasionally assisted, but I did more of what I loved, which was nurturing the guests over breakfast, serving their food, chatting about our area and what brought them to us, learning more about them. After I sold the inn, which was like 22 years later, and no longer had guests to serve, I have re-nurtured clients now over Zoom. So while I'm not serving breakfast, I'm still serving and I'm still connecting. What's one strength that grief has not stolen from you? Is it empathy, organization, humor? Jot it down. Okay, step 3, redesign. Now we get to experiment. We get to do what I call tiny horizon goals, small inspirations of the new you. They could be things like signing up for a pottery class, starting a morning ritual. One of my rituals in the morning is sitting on my back porch, no matter the weather. So as long as it's not raining on me, and I do have a roof over my head, I sit out there. In the winter, I sit with a coat and gloves. And I listen and I watch the sun. Yours could be a morning walk. It could be to practice saying no at least once a day. Build your boundary muscles and begin to put yourself first. Boy, do I know from lots of experience, it isn't easy. And we're not always consistent about it. And yet, the more we do it, the easier it becomes and the stronger we become. When we put ourselves first, we get to do and feel the way we want to. Now, this is a thing that I want everyone to do, but you can only do it if you're not driving. So if you're driving, listen to this later or come back to it later. I think you can see the visual of my teal ceramic bowl. And there's gold in cracks. It's called kintsugi. And the bowl had been broken and repaired with liquid gold. Okay, so settle into your seat, put your feet on the floor, let your shoulders fall and be soft. Close your eyes. Again, if you're driving, come back to this later. And I want you to picture yourself miniature, standing inside this bowl. The sides of the bowl are as tall as you are. You can touch the sides and you could feel the lines of gold, the seams. The cracks represent every loss, every unexpected detour on your road trip. Now watch as the shimmering gold, which represents gratitude, resilience, memory, self-love, fills each fracture and it becomes stronger than the original material. Breathe in through your nose to a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. And exhale to a count of 6. Let one word arise that captures your emerging self. Whisper it or type it below when you're ready. There are beautiful words coming in. I'm hearing brave, becoming, light, love. Keep these words. They're compass points. They're helping steer you or navigate you in the right direction. Now let's try to integrate some of grief with growth. Here's the paradox. We don't move on from grief. We move forward with it. Like the gold seams in our bowl, each of our losses remain visible, but they're no longer fragile. Think of a kaleidoscope. It's made up of lots of broken shards of glass that, as we turn it, brings out absolutely stunning images that light is filtering through those pieces. And each time we look, it's a different image. It's reminding us to expect the spiral or the spin. Each anniversary or holiday or special day may stir fresh feelings. Yet, you'll notice that each time you navigate that loop, each time you're in that spiral, you're going to navigate it with deeper, better coping skills. We're not defined by what we lose, but by how lovingly we stitch the space it left behind. How much gold are we putting in there? So as a quick recap, recognize what's changed in your life and what is still remaining. Thank both. Thank the experiences and what's changed for what they've given you. And thank what remains for helping you be who you are and who you're becoming. Reclaim the strengths that are hiding under the rubble. They're there. They're like diamonds that have to be dug and unearthed and sometimes like hacked to get them out, maybe polished. And redesign through inspirations. Below, you'll find a link for a 6-card, 2-sided sample of my inspiration cards. Each card contains an affirmation to both ground you and to pump you up, to get you excited. And the other half contains an action, because we know that thoughts without follow-up action don't help you move. I love this African proverb that says, pray and move your feet. It emphasizes the importance of action alongside of prayer. So even if you don't pray, the thought is your prayer. And if you'd like to partner on this journey, I offer a complimentary 45-minute Imagining Your Next Chapter call. The link is also below in the show notes. And during this call, we'll explore how the gold-filled cracks can guide your next steps. I also have a Facebook community that you're welcome to join and find support with the other people in the group. It's called Navigating Through Life Transitions. And if this podcast helped you, hit share. And maybe somebody who's scrolling right now might need to see or hear this. So thank you for showing up for yourself. And until next time, remember, grief may create fissures, but we hold the gold crack filler to make us stronger and let the light in. See you next time. I believe in you and I care. Thanks. If you liked what you heard on this podcast and want to hear more, please follow us and tell your friends. You can also find me on Facebook at Amy Lindner Lesser, Grief to Growth Life Coaching, and on LinkedIn at Amy Lindner Lesser.